All right. I think this is number 3. Hi, Keith.
Hi.
He's,
Hello.
he's being a bad guest, not expounding. Hey, everybody! It's January 2024.
We have power
Yeah.
and light and heat.
And we were just saying how those are all taken for granted until you don't have them. And since we are in Oregon, here, pour yourself, honey. I guess I can. I was trying to be a good hostess, but we had been without power for 5 days. How many days were you without power?
2.
2.
Well, it was a really long 2.
Those 48 hours really
48 hours of
out. Oh my God.
waking up in the dark, but then getting dressed in the dark.
Yeah.
And having to leave in the dark, in the cold.
So for those of you who are also living in the Midwest, we totally sympathize. We had a ice storm that we thought was a 1-day ice storm, and then it turned out to be a 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on again.
Right. And so I kind of commiserate on social media, and then the people for 10 years I lived in Montana, 10 long, cold, desolate years. And they're like, well, that's not winter. That's not snow. You need a yardstick. I'm just like, there's some states that are prepared and equipped. They have the infrastructure. Oregon does not. I mean, we don't.
Western Oregon. I think the Eastern Oregon folks are a little better than us because they get a lot of snow.
They're basically Idaho.
So no.
Well, I mean, Central.
I'm sorry. Oregon, Eastern Oregon. I love Eastern Oregon. So,
but Central Oregon, which is where I tell people like, oh, I miss snow. Just get in your car, drive about 2.5 hours to Central Oregon to get all the snow you want. You want to tube, you want to ski, snowboard, whatever. I don't miss snow, especially shoveling it. That's why people are like, I miss the snow. Try shoveling it.
Yeah, a lot.
For hours, back breaking, and then, I'm sorry.
We got to backtrack here. Hi, friends drinking beer.
It's a sore part.
Keith, Lisa. All right, so we can continue talking, but first we should tell everybody that I pulled out the old style Pilsner glasses because I actually have them. And in our Pilsner glasses, we have Pfriem. We love Pfriem. It's spelt Pfriem. They're up in Hood River, which is north of us. And this is their Pilsner. It's a really cute little bear. I don't know if you can, there we go. It's a very darling Pilsner. It's super drinkable. They say, prepare thyself for fresh scents of flowers and a tart lemon zest with a touch of honey and a crisp, spicy finish. 4.9 ABV. This episode, we're kind of, we're trying to theme our beers, but so far we're not doing too well.
We're all over.
Yeah. This theme is, here's what we had in the house.
Yeah.
Because the roads were closed.
Right.
The grocery stores were closed. The bars were closed. The breweries were closed. Everybody was closed. So we did have an initial theme, and we were going to have our first guest, but he still has no power. And he was on the property by himself for 4 days before we could get through to him and bring him over here so he could have a hot meal, talk to a human being. He was living on the property alone with 3 dogs, 2 cats, and a bird.
Stranded.
So, yeah. And when we took him home, did I tell you this?
No.
Okay, let's drink our beer first, and then I'll tell you a lovely cheers. Oh, it smells so fresh. Yeah, and you can just down this beer at any time because it's super light, super refreshing. I have to tell you, I bought this beer at our local store that was open with a generator, so at least our cold cases, they didn't even have to power their cold cases. It was so chilly. Right. But the wife, she and her husband owned the store, she was there all bundled up, and they made it work. And I just happened to decide that, we have a guest for dinner, I should buy some beer. And I know he likes Pilsner. So that's how I ended up with a Pfriem, 6-pack of Pfriem in my house. Anyway, so I live on, McKenzie River, north of McKenzie, south of McKenzie. The highway, 126, that everybody in Oregon is then it's called the McKenzie Highway, runs all the way to Sisters and then off to Bend and all the way out to the coast. Well, in this part of the valley, the McKenzie Valley, there's a little tiny bridge, literally called Bridge Street, that crosses the McKenzie River, and it then dead ends into Deerhorn. And Deerhorn is a a road on the other side of the river. Well, that's where my friend lives. And
Do you see deer there?
yes, and we call it the elk pasture because when the elk are out, that's usually where they are, is in this pasture. And I've only seen them there twice, but oh my gosh, so amazing and beautiful. Anyway, I trotted out of this house at about 2:00, 2:30 in the afternoon, drove down the highway. The highway's been clear almost the entire time, so that's been fine. Get onto Deerhorn. You can see where all of the trees that were blocking the road have been cut with the chainsaw and moved aside so that there's passage on the road.
Bunch of trees and limbs down.
And if I can, I will in the notes, I'll post a photograph of the tree that I had to drive under that had tipped over and was leaning on another tree on the other side of the road. And it's a big oak, right? So it's got all kinds of branches. And the photo's beautiful, but I literally stopped my car, opened my window, listened, because you get very used to knowing what the cracks are and what the sound is when a tree or a limb is going to fall. So I'm listening for that weird cracking noise, nothing. So I gunned my car to 5 miles an hour to get underneath the tree.
Don't become that statistic.
Right. Oh my gosh. The tree is only going to tip over once and I don't want to be under it when it does. Anyway, got to my friend's house, picked him up, brought him back. We had a lovely meal here. As some of you may notice, I have completely rearranged. We call this the gaming room. So the Christmas tree is gone and a very, very tall ladder with a bunch of quilts is now in its place.
She's a quilter.
Yeah, that's me. That's the things I do. So anyway, we had a lovely meal. We drank some of this lovely Pilsner. We played a game. He felt refreshed and rejuvenated, able to go home. It's starting to get dark. It's about 4:30, 5:00. Yeah, I get within a mile of his house, and there is such a big tree down that I cannot.
From the time that you took
Yes. From the time that I picked him up at 2:30, so within 3 hours, this tree had come down. Now, the leaning tree, we drove under it both times. So now I've driven under this leaning tree 4 times or 3 times. And so he gets out. We had stopped at the local grocery store and I bought the beer and he bought vegetables because he was craving vegetables. And so he grabbed up his little bag of vegetables and cat food and climbed over that tree branch. And he did have cell service in one little area of his property. I said, well, if you can, text me when you get home. So I know you got home okay. So
it was too big to move?
It was too big to move.
That's how big a tree fell.
It was a really big tree. So thankfully, my husband was driving, so it was the 3 of us. So friend got out. He climbed over the tree. We were a mile away from his house. He walked a mile on the road and climbed over 4 more downed trees and got home before we did.
So those other trees were not even down the first time?
No, there were 5 trees down within a 1 mile stretch of Deerhorn.
So when this freeze happened, and it was like truly an ice storm, you would have the trees that, first of all, were laden with all the ice, and we had it probably about 4 days below freezing.
Yeah, I believe the freeze started on Friday night because Saturday was when things started to go crazy in town. We did not freeze until Monday. We were in this little oasis out here, 30 miles away from town, and we never got cold until days later. So we had no idea how bad it was.
Right.
But
So it's a creeping
many nights
ice
in a row.
And so the problem is, if trees are not used to this, of course, the sap freezes, causes the cracking. Small limbs fall, but like in this case, the trees fall, but that's not it. All the trees that are like laden with that, and then everybody's looking at the forecast. When is it at least going to get above freezing? And okay, you see it gradually start to get above freezing. It's like, and that's what causes the thawing with trees coming back. That's what leads to some of these limbs and trees like cracking again and down trees. So it's not like, ooh, ice, 3-day ice storm and power's out and people are trapped and stuff like that. There's there's a ripple effect to it.
Mm-hmm. The other compounding issue, especially on this road, is it is a fairly steep hillside on most of the road, and we have had inches upon inches of rain. So the ground's saturated. So as soon as the tree weighs more, and ice and snow do weigh a lot, especially when they're those big trees and it has lots of surface area, and they tip over because the ground's saturated. They now weigh more.
Mm-hmm.
They're leaning a little bit this way because that's the angle of the hillside, and they fall down. So yeah. So the reason we didn't get home before our friend did is we made a U-turn on Deerhorn, and we started driving back. Yeah, a tree fell behind us, and now we're going back home, and that downed tree is in our way. So we're now blocked in.
The trees were against you.
The trees were, but once again,
it's like
this
a
is
Mirkwood
nature,
Forest
and
situation.
I know. So we drive up to the tree. It is now full dark. It's 5:00, pitch black. And there are two people standing by the tree. Now, thankfully, it wasn't a Doug fir, because if it had been a Douglas fir, they have a very big main trunk, and there would have been no way we would have moved that thing. This was probably a maple or a oak. So it had many branches. Most of them had broken when the tree fell on the road.
Are you sure it wasn't spruce?
Who knows? It could be anything. I know for a fact it was not a Doug fir. It was not a blue spruce, because I think we have the only blue spruces around. So those two people were there, and they were talking. We said hello. We get out of the car. Obviously, we need to move this. We need to move the tree because our car. So we start moving things and we're just going to clear the minimum space we can to get the car through. Well, the two people disappear. So it's like, okay, that's, they've probably been clearing trees all day and they're tired. It's fine. So we're out there for about 20 minutes. We're clearing the branches. Between my husband and I, we get some of the bigger branches, and we're able to literally, with our full body weight, snap the branch off the main trunk so we can get it out of the road. And we're down to the last two big, like these, we can't, the two of us might be able to lift it and maybe shift the tree a bit so that we can get the car, but they're too big to drive the car over. And one of the dudes appears. He'd been charging his chainsaw, and now he had a charge, so he could help. So he came right at the perfect time. We cleared everything. We chopped those two branches, a couple of spaces. We cleared everything away. We drove the car by. We said thank you very much to the man who was charging his chainsaw, came home, and put our chainsaw in the car. We were never traveling without a chainsaw again during winter storms.
Just when you think you just need a spare blankets and water. No, do you have a chainsaw?
No, you need a chainsaw in your car. So anyway, so that was our tree saga. And that was Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night. So that was, and it froze again that night. So more trees came down. And then our friends' parents were out of town. They were in California. They flew out Friday morning. So they missed the whole weekend.
They missed the whole ice.
They were supposed to come home Monday. The Eugene airport was closed Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
de-icing issues.
They flew back. They were able to get back in on Wednesday night. Then they had to take the long way home because Deerhorn was closed at the entrance on the west side. So they had to come all the way around to the east side. But yes, so now more people are on the property. The dogs, the cats, and the bird are being tended to and cared for. And there's water and heat on the property, but still no power.
Poor guy.
So yeah, so it's just been a heck of a saga.
So is there any alley or any throughway that's named after the elk?
No, just the locals know that it's that this big I call it a pasture. There's a tiny orchard at one end of about 10, 15 trees that somebody does take care of because they get pruned, and they're beautiful, beautiful old apple trees just like mine. And then this massive field, and then you can see you can't see the river because the trees are blocking the view of the river, but there's trees down by the river, and the elk just come down and they cross Deerhorn and they hang out in this beautiful, beautiful meadow, I guess is what it really is. And they're usually, sometimes they're there in the morning, sometimes they're there at night. And it's such a thing to see. I know. Deerhorn. It's not called Elkhorn.
They probably think the deer are smug. Probably.
And deer don't have horns. Deer have antlers.
Right.
So deer horn is incorrect.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's, welcome to weird names of places and craziness. Yeah, so that's been the reason why this episode is, we just scrounged and I pulled out a beer that has been sitting in my cabinet for months.
It's what was available.
It's what I happened to buy at the tiny little local store that had no power, but they were open.
Yeah. And I like to put a positive spin on every horrible situation. So as bad as, and we're fortunate, power's back on for us, but there's some people around here, especially in Springfield, that still do not have power.
Oh my gosh, Main Street and 126 are.
The water boil thing?
Oh yeah, because so the Hayden, we have substations, and one's the Hayden substation, and that's what we're on. But we're on one avenue of it, as for Springfield's on another. But that's also where they purify the water, and there was no power to the water.
Right. So they said all right, power's out. We're doing our best to get crews out there and stuff like that. So you have no power, you have no heat, and then people are sending each other little tricks, you're your little muffin tin thing. Put tea lights on that. If you do 3, it actually heat a pan to boil water or make chili or something warm for you and stuff like that. And they're oh yeah, and this is just in Springfield. They're just oh well, because that plant is down, there might be bacteria in your drinking water, so we recommend boiling it.
Yeah,
we recommend boiling your water, knowing that you don't have power.
Well, a lot of houses here have fireplaces. And so that's how we cooked. We cooked a couple of meals on our fireplace. We made We had potatoes and steak one night, and so the barbecue was outside under the overhang and fueled with propane. So steaks were cooked on propane, and the potatoes were cooked on wood fire.
See, all of you make fun of people who camp. Here's the thing: if you're oh, power's out, too bad we have to eat cold food. No, we do not, because we have camping gear, and we busted it out, bundled up. I'm out on my deck with my little Blackstone I carry camping, and I'm just yep, still got propane. So guess what? I'm sizzling up. I think I did meatballs. One of those. What normally you can either put it in the microwave or in a boiling water, like the broccoli and cheese.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I had some leftover garlic bread, which is supposed to bake, but let's be honest, just cover it in tinfoil and let it bake on top of the Blackstone.
All right, we have finished our Pilsner.
Yeah, this is the downside of Pilsner.
Yeah,
it's so drinkable. It's just you can be talking oh, that's one. Let's have another, and then 7 later.
So
you're still thirsty.
What's next? I'm going to remove the Pilsner glasses.
There's a question for everybody. Why don't you see Pilsner glasses anymore? They're meant for drinking Pilsner.
I know.
I don't know the Steiners.
They're so cute.
People only bust out the Steiners during Oktoberfest.
Right. Which one is next? Because that depends on the glass. We're trying to be
are we really going to drink the warm one?
It's fine. It's Dogfish Head. I mean, it's a good beer no matter what.
Well, we better go in order, so we're going to drink this warm beer.
It is warm because it was on my shelf. It wasn't in my refrigerator. But anyway, this is from their winter series. And I will pour some out, and then I will tell you. So this is obviously darker than our Pilsner that we just had. And this is pumpkin ale. So a little past the season, because pumpkin usually comes out in the fall. Everyone knows. Oh my gosh, Starbucks.
Until they come up with the crab beer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, seriously. So as most people know, pumpkin itself doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. It's the spices that go in that are so much fun, right? So this is a beautiful, beautiful can, pumpkin ale. It has really, really good graphics. There's Dogfish Head. Okay, and what does it say? Oh, government warning. This is the 2023 Off-Centered Art Series. The artist is Natalia Balnova. Wow. Well, Natalia, kudos to you. This is beautiful artwork. This is a brown ale brewed with pumpkin and spices. So they don't identify the spices, but I bet you we can, right? So
they gotta have in there. Don't they say like cardamom or
no? Government warning.
Cumin. They just say
So,
spice?
yep.
That seems so vague.
Oh, look at this. 2023 Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. Off-centered people drink responsibly. Very cute. Nope, they just say spices. So let's guess. All right. So
We're drinking
beautiful,
European
beautiful
style. We
brown
drink it
color.
warm.
Very nice and warm.
Oh, it smells good.
It does smell good.
It smells like autumn.
It has a bit of vanilla in it.
Where nothing freezes.
And no, cardamom. A lot of people are scared of cardamom, so I don't know if that's in there, but
yeah, they don't like it.
Definitely
That's
there's a little cinnamony flavor, a little all-spicy flavor. Might be a bit of pepper. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the peppercorn one that we drank the other day. Or not the other day, the other.
Of all the spices I've seen in pumpkin beer, I've never seen them put pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because pumpkin spice is made of other spices, so you may as well make your own. Mm.
So people are usually
even at room temperature, this is a tasty beer.
About pumpkin beers. Well, if it tastes good, it tastes good. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like this one is drinkable. This one's they didn't feel the need to overly spice it with their random spice.
No, and it's super clean. Now, I love to, both Keith and I love to cook, and this is the style of beer that I like to add to whatever stew or crock pot dish I'm making that calls for a beer. I love to go for the pumpkin style because they add those really good spices.
Did you read the small writing though? Because it says pumpkin ale has pumpkins on it, but it says brown ale.
Yes, I read that.
Brewed with pumpkin and spices. Did you?
Yes.
Were you saying that? And I wasn't paying attention.
Yes, you were not paying attention. You guys know it is proof. It is on film.
I stopped listening after pumpkin.
Oh my God.
No, but like, so this
Seriously, why are we friends?
Look at that. Well, starting at the top of the list. So would you list this as a pumpkin ale or a brown ale?
It says brown with pumpkin. So no, I would say, and they don't call it pumpkin. They call it punkin.
Oh, like sweetheart?
Yeah.
Have a beer, pumpkin. Who talks like
that? People from last century, right?
I'm looking for something. It literally says
nothing about the spices. I told you.
Well, it says here the spice must flow. I was just kidding. It doesn't say that.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't it be cool if it did though? So Natalia,
I actually finally watched the latest version of that movie.
Did you like it?
It was better than most.
The sequel's coming out this year. I think
we're talking about the
Dune
series. Yeah, because the one that was made with Sting and what's his name so many years ago.
There's people who are still triggered about that. Here's the thing: when I saw it, because I love the book. Oh,
I love books.
It's one of the best science fiction books ever, in my opinion. But so I was excited when it came out, and people were like, "Oh, I hated it." There's people. I walked out of it. And then I watched it. I'm just like, wait a minute. And then it took me a while. I'm like, I love it. Why do they hate it? I'm like, oh. And I asked him, like, you read the book? Well, no. And I'm like, oh, it's like you're missing like 2/3 of the story, because it was still like a long movie back then. These days, 3 hours, 3.5 hours are no big deal. But I'm just like, there's so much of the story that they couldn't get into because people said back then would say, I am not going to see a movie that's 2 hours, 40 minutes. That's nothing these days.
Right.
But
it's either 90 minutes or 3.5 hours.
Right. So every movie, even some of the older movies, have a director's cut. So what everybody else gets in the movies is a theatrical release. And then when you buy the DVD, which those are going to become obsolete pretty soon because everybody streams, they'll say like, oh, here's the Blu-ray and then the extended cut and then the director's cut. And they're like, okay, well, I'm paying all this and like that. But if you go watch the director's cut, sometimes it can include so much in there that it changes the movie. So I urge you, if you say, I hated the Sting, the Kyle MacLachlan one and stuff like that, try to find the director's cut, and it's a little bit longer, and watch that. They totally go into the what's the little blue liquid that they get from like to take you to the other side.
Well, the spice.
But the thing that made you a Reverend Mother, and that they never wanted a man to take it because the guys would die unless you were.
Oh yeah, I forget
that.
what the Ben Gesserit tried to call it.
Yeah, but the little harvesting of that, they didn't show that in the theatrical
right, because
release.
the spice then becomes, they need the spice to create
the water of life. That's what it is. The water of life.
Gotcha.
Just our little geek moment here. Just bear with us.
That's okay.
Yeah, right. But if you go see it, and I urge you to see it, it changes it. It's that much better. Like, and so I tell myself, if people had seen the director's cut, they would have a better understanding of it, and then they would like it. Versus go, I hate it. And then the new one's good, but the casting. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I like what they did for the casting.
Yeah, the young Fremen girl she's quite amazing.
Yes. I'm excited for the sequel. It's going to be good.
So I'm happy. Okay, so Frank Herbert wrote Dune. Dune Messiah got Emperor of Dune. Right, that's 3, but there's 4.
Oh, and then they have 4. Like the houses, like House Harkonnen.
Well, is that his son that's wrote all those backstory books?
Yeah, his son.
I tried to read those, and
no, you have to be like ultra nerd to read. Yeah.
Okay, but Frank Herbert also wrote other books, and my 2 favorite sci-fi books of all time are 2 of his books called Whipping Star and The Dosadi Experiment. Now, I own both books. They're very small. They're maximum 150 pages long.
Oh, sure.
I don't remember which one comes first and which one comes second because the main character is in both books.
So they're like sequels or just
not really a sequel, but it's because it's not a continuation of the story. It's a totally different story, but he's in it, and then a main character from the first book comes back for part of the second book. So
would you recommend reading both?
Absolutely. They are 2 of my favorite books of all time. So they are just the world he created and the character he created is so, to me it was, and I read those books when I was in my early 20s. They were mind-boggling. Like, wow, how did somebody think this up? Okay, and then the second thing I'm going to say is there is a lovely, lovely online used bookstore called Thrift Books. And they have a warehouse of just millions upon millions of books. And they will tell you if they're selling it new, if they're selling it used in really good condition, very good condition, passable condition. So a lot of them are old library editions. Mm. So some of them you'll get, there's water damage, there's, the cover's bent, or, and that's fine if you don't know if you're really going to like the book and you don't want to pay full price for the book or go on a hunt to find it. Go to thriftbooks.com. They are awesome. They, if you make an account, you'll get a certain number of points for every book you buy. So every once in a while, they're like, "Hey, you can have a free book under $7 or $10."
Buy 9 books, the 10th book is free.
Pretty much. And their wish list is amazing because you can create a wish list and then it'll tell you if your wish list is in stock.
If it shows up.
So you can go through your wish list and say, "Oh, that's back in stock. That's back in stock." And
that's like the Amazon for
I
used
love
books.
it. I love it so much because they are recycling books, which once again, I was in the publishing industry for 10 years. I very much understand royalties and paying full price and that the authors need to be paid. I do buy a lot of books up front, brand new, because I want to support the author. I want the author to get their money's worth. Sometimes these books are out of print. You can't find them in your local used bookstore because they're just not popular.
Right.
That's where Thrift
Be
Books
the random
comes
bookstore.
In. Yeah, go.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I read a review of this offbeat book. I'm reading a book right now called The Old Woman and the Knife. It's an Japanese or Chinese, I'm so sorry, I don't know which, translation of one of their best-selling books, and it's about this old woman who is a murderer. She's a for-hire murderer.
What does she use to murder with?
Knives. Haha. Surprise, surprise. But I don't know if I'm going to like this book. It was on Thrift Books. Sure, I'll pay $6 and see if I like this book. And I'm about 30 pages in, and it's very interesting. Very different style of writing, but so far so good. Anyway,
it's still all about the
tip of the day: drink a good Pilsner, drink a good brown ale,
or
buy
Punkin.
a book on depending on
spice.
Oh my gosh! Look, I got the A.
How does that work?
Oh my, okay.
I got nothing.
So we are drinking once again out of ale song glasses, and at the bottom, at the base of the glass, where the stem is on the inside of the glass, their logo is etched. And I can't show you because I can't tip the glass and it goes away. But what it does to the bubbles is it alters them in a way so you can see the logo in the head of your beer.
I saw the logo in hers. I see nothing but
Yeah, because you have no head left. So anyway, that's
no
really cool.
head.
It's kind of a fun thing. And let's see, does this? Yeah, this glass has it's in there, but you can't see it. But see, the A is etched in there.
I do. I see it.
Yeah. So when we pour another beer, we'll have to watch for it, and then maybe take a picture. Oh my gosh. See, you're all concerned about. Okay, once again, back to our first. Is it snobby to only want to drink your beer cold? Like I said way back when, I want to drink it cold and I want to drink it warm because some beers taste like shit warm. To me, they're not a good beer.
Right.
So I don't
guess,
mind drinking it cold.
How would we know which one to? I mean, we've talked about the certain stouts that will actually get better as they warm up.
Right,
So that's
because they take on more of the alcohol, the whiskey, the bourbon flavors come out more when they're warm.
Right, so you don't have to rush drinking a stout.
Right.
But this, I mean, how would you randomly pick like, oh, I think this is going to be good warm? Nobody would think about drinking a warm Pilsner. Well, at least not from this country. But
I'm yeah.
Right, you want to be
I'm
cold.
Snobby I'm not snobby. I don't know which is snobby. Always drink them cold.
Plus they're brewed cold. I mean,
yeah.
That's or Pilsners I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Now the not Oakshire, sorry. Oakshire beers. They do fruited beers as well, like our Claim 52 beers. The Claim 52 beers, yes, chilled because the fruit is cold and it's
Yeah, they say it on like you need to serve it chilled. Mm-hmm. Don't ever let it get warm. Like
because you don't want to re-ferment or continue the fermenting process.
Did we ever talk about the exploding ones in that episode? We have there's
we did make reference to it. Yes,
right.
There
so people like, I'll let it sit around, and with those are like, no, get it cold, keep it cold.
And there have been some recalls because certain some of the fruits fermented faster than the brewers thought they would,
and so the
cans were exploding in transit. Right. So anyway, boy, we saw the sun yesterday for a brief period of time. So that was nice.
Was it magnificent?
It was. We stood. Vitamin D is a nothing to be blasé about, and especially in the wintertime when you have no sun for days and days. So we stood in the driveway and just stood in the sun.
I bought some vitamin D. It was on my grocery list because you need to drink it in the winter.
Well, and also
eat it in the winter. Oh my God, eat it. Drink vitamin D. You drink vitamin D?
Is this vitamin D? I wish. Okay, but vitamin D is different. Vitamin C, you can always eat or ingest vitamin C because your body will flush it out.
Right.
So there's no reserve. Vitamin D is different. Your body does retain vitamin D. It does hold it because it's got, once again, we do not fact check anything, so don't ever take what we say as to be the end all be all truth.
Unless it's beer.
Vitamin D, I believe, is fatty based, so it holds within the fatty portions, in certain areas of your body. You have to get tested for vitamin D because if you take vitamin D and you don't know what your base level is, you could be over ingesting vitamin D.
What?
Which lack of vitamin D is terrible. Too much vitamin D is also terrible. So a lot of Oregonians get tested to have your baseline vitamin D levels known so that, yes, if you are one of those people, you should take vitamin D in the wintertime. So you might want to go get tested for your vitamin D. Now, I
need vitamin D.
How do you know? How do you know that you're lacking in vitamin D?
Black people especially need more vitamin D.
True, because it is harder for you to get it from the sun. You need to be in the sun longer.
Right.
So, but that being said, you might be fine. You should go get tested.
Well, I've already had a doctor that says make sure you're going into.
But then I think that was not. The doctor should have said, "Let's test you for vitamin D."
You don't think he stereotyped me and he should have tested, right?
Okay, I'm not going to say much about that stereotype comment. That being said, please contact your doctor and say, I would like to go get vitamin D testing. Just so you know that you're not over ingesting or that you're not ingesting enough.
There are some people who need more D in their life. Fact.
Mm-hmm.
You can check it.
I agree, but you need to know what your baseline is. Right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Go get tested. Oh my gosh, seriously. Making other people healthy. It's a tough job.
It's a struggle, really.
It is a struggle. Okay, so speaking of health, I have what I call a speed limit birthday coming up, which means there's a 0 or a 5 involved. And we'll do a whole special episode.
Are we going to do a birthday special?
We should do a birthday special. And of course, let's not give it all away. But yeah, there should be specific beers involved because of the...
Do you want it involved for the connection to your birthday or the number? Because the number would give it away, I think.
With the number, yeah, who cares? Anyway, so with that in mind, I've always been wanting to be healthy because I own a farm. I would like to continue to work on my farm into my 80s, which is a long ways away. People who are trying to make me older than I am. Me being the first person who's saying I'm older than I am. I'm the number one culprit of calling myself too old. But that being said, I read a lovely book called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. Another book I totally recommend that everybody read. And he goes through the 4 largest killers of people, especially in America. It's heart disease, metabolic, which includes diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. So he explains how all those work in the body and how as we know, Alzheimer's is the one we know least about in terms of how it triggers. And then all the things that he believes help you stave those off as long as possible, because you have your lifeline and your health line. And your life may be going like this, long, and all of a sudden you die, so it drops off. Your health line should be right in line with your lifeline. Like you should, but sometimes the health dips down because you spend the last 10 years of your life in pain, having a chronic disease. So let's try to figure out how to make the health line and the lifeline be the same and then drop off together. What if you get cancer the year before you die? Great. Not really, but you get what I'm saying.
Great.
Rather than 20 years before you die, right?
Right.
So his big things are exercise, duh.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even call it diet. He calls it caloric management. Like you need to
eat
know,
healthier. Eat
right,
healthier.
Right. And what he said, which I thought was very interesting, is it's almost improving your diet may not improve your health because it may not have as much impact as Americans think, because diet's their number one thing. But taking things out of your diet are better for you from a health point of view, like the standard American diet, highly processed.
Yeah, we
everything
do too
coming
much processed here.
So he's like, it might be better for you to take things out of your diet rather than being in constant search of the things that you should put in your diet. Right. Yes, if you eat whole, he's like, whatever diet. And there are, keto, they are finding that keto really, really works for people that have certain gut issues and brain issues. And so there are some diets that people with certain issues should be on to help deal with that and manage it. So, okay. Exercise, eating, sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are sleeping.
And mental health.
Right.
Those are the 4 things that you should, are you on track with all of those things? Well, I've been an exerciser all my life, but I had a hiccup a couple of years ago and have had major surgery. And it took 2 years before the major surgery occurred of being in fairly intense amounts of pain. So my exercise kind of took a nosedive. And then about a year to really recover. I ended up getting secondary issues that I couldn't. I basically broke my foot, which was because I was compensating. And anyway, so I'm back. Like, okay, all those sub issues have resided. They resided in my body, and now they have resolved. And way to recover, Lisa.
She's been drinking.
Oh, yes, I have. But now so he has some Dr. Peter Attia has some very specific things that he like if you want to do this when you're 80, you should probably be doing this when you're 70, 60, 50, 40. And one of the big things, especially for women, is weight. Women don't carry enough weight, and women break their hips more than men. Women outlive men generally. So a woman who breaks her hip generally declines very, very quickly, especially if they break their hip and after their age 70, they're probably dead within a year or two because
And
now
do you
they
want to
can't
be
move.
carrying that extra weight on the hip, right? Or bad joints?
Well, that's what he's saying is that the heavier you carry and the more weight your body is accustomed to balancing and holding, the better off you'll be because you'll have better balance. So you may not fall to begin with and break your hip. And if you do fall, you're strong enough to break your fall or not break your hip. So
They want women to be heavier?
they want women to carry heavy weight. Women don't lift enough
Oh,
weight.
lift. You
Yes,
should have said
carry
that.
heavy
I'm
weight.
like,
Carry weights,
oh, okay.
not gain weight.
Oh,
But
okay.
that being said, skinny women are at more risk to break hips than heavier women
Oh,
because
they
the
blow
bones,
away, right?
yeah, their bones are heavier. So I'm in that category. I'm a quote heavier. I'm a tall woman, but I have now started carrying weight, and it's called rucking. So I've got my little backpack on, and I've got my 20 pounds in weights, and I'm hiking a mile up a hill, and I'm doing this because I want to, in 20 years, be able to carry a 5-gallon bucket full of water when the power goes out.
See, there's all this science and research, and now here's how to get healthy and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And like, there's still this myth out there that people believe like, oh, women shouldn't lift heavy in the gym and stuff like that because it's going to make them heavier. It's like, no, it's going to make them stronger. And like, you burn a lot of calories when you lift heavier.
Yes.
You do. And
Yes.
like, but there's that myth out there, and people just want to hang on to it. Like, oh, I'm not going to do push-ups. I'm not going to lift like,
unladylike.
free weights, or I'll be all like,
you can't
buffed and roided out. I'm like, no, that's not how that happens. So
correct.
You should do it. Like,
but what they
lift
do
heavy
have,
things. Lift
yes,
them.
absolutely. Carry 5-gallon buckets
Put them
full
down,
of water and
but then
rocks
lift them
and
again.
this. It's farmer carries. Those are some of the best things women can do in the gym. Put the heaviest weights you possibly can in your hands on both sides and have very good posture and just walk with those things. That impacts your hips, your shoulders, your back, everything. It's so good for you.
Right.
And women shy away from it because they think that that's going to happen to them. And no,
it's going to make my arms
it's
bigger. It's like,
so
no,
healthy.
it's going to make you toner.
So healthy.
Yeah.
And,
well, but then guys are like the same thing. Like guys refuse to do cardio.
Right.
And I'm just
well,
like,
and also,
I don't like it. It makes me tired.
Also,
You're
men
working
who only
out.
do upper body workouts, and they have these beautiful, beautiful lats and chests and biceps and everything. They can't turn their neck to save their lives or put their arms down by their side, but their legs are like toothpicks.
Right.
It's like, no. Let's be functionally healthy, which means able to move all your muscles. All your muscles are strong and in balance and in proportion. So, yeah.
It's the skipping leg day thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And doing balance exercises. When was the last time you walked heel to toe? Not on a sobriety test. Funny, we should be talking about sobriety.
Well, I don't walk heel toe because I actually asked my one of my best friends is a strength and conditioning coach, has been for years, and I like to work on balance exercise for my golf swing. And I asked him, I'm like, okay, he's gonna have the science and the research and currents and like that. And when I asked him, like, okay, I'm going to write this down, like this, he goes, oh, the best way to work on your balance is to practice balancing. I'm just like, yep, should have figured it was that simple. So literally, when I do my little warm up, both for golf stretches, it'll be like just like standing in like your living room and doing it's kind of like a sobriety test, and just like lifting one foot off the ground, and you can put your arms to the side, whatever, if you want to, and just do it for the count of 10, and then switch to the other leg, and then do things with your arms so you're used to that, and that will help you work on your balance. And at the gym, you know what a bosun ball is?
Yeah.
So it's a little half like shaved off thing, like where it's flat, and then the rest is like the little bubble thing like that. I'll get on that with like, and it's only shoulder width unless you have wide shoulders and stuff like that. And then so I'll do balance exercise. Like, yeah, so I do work on my balance
No, it's
and
good.
stuff like that. And I've noticed the difference, with the true test of balance is if you try to do the stand up paddleboard and actually try to stand up, you have to be balanced to do that. So I've been doing that over the last year.
There was a lady out here at Leeburg Lake that was teaching paddleboarding, but she hasn't been out the last few years. I hope she comes back because I want to learn.
It's fun.
It's so fun because I kayak. We kayak all the way up to the covered bridge and back.
And what people think about the stand up, like you have to stand up. You don't. No, I got a friend of mine that she's had it longer than I have. And like she goes, yeah, Keith, I never stand. And like she'll do it. She'll paddle on her knees, she'll paddle on her butt, and they have because like all the little hooks are in the same spot. You can go get a seat because people who've been kayaking, you're like, oh, I'm so used to kayaking. I don't, I'd just be standing up on this paddleboard. So a friend of mine actually said, hey, try mine out, Keith. I did it. I'm out there having a ball like a little child, like, oh, this is just like a kayak that's flat and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, I got to get one. I'm getting the information. He goes like, dude, take it. He goes, I got my family like 6 of them. So now I have one of those seats. So yes, get you a stand-up paddleboard.
Okay. Let's see. So do you have your phone? This
is Dragon's Milk.
Who makes it?
No dragons were milked in the harming of this. No,
no dragons were harmed in the milking
this
of this
is by. Who's this by?
I don't know.
It's Dragon's Milk isn't the brewer, is it?
Maybe. The legendary Dragon's Milk Stout.
Can you read this? I can't read it.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. Dragon's Milk Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. 11% ABV. New Holland. Yeah, so it is from New Holland.
New Holland.
Okay. But it's dragonsmilk.com. Here Be Dragons. It's legendary. It's a bourbon stout. Okay, Dragon's Milk's Master's Barrel Aging Cellar. Throughout the ages, Dragon's Milk has been a term used to describe potent ales that were bestowed in celebration at the end of a journey. Well, this is the end of our drinking journey today. Our signature stout carries on that tradition today. Roasted malt delivers notes of coffee and chocolate. No, and you know my opinion about coffee, so we'll see. I haven't smelled it yet.
I don't like coffee.
Married with sweet undertones of vanilla and oak from a 3-month stay in bourbon barrels to create a truly legendary blend of flavor. All right. So let's smell this. Okay. The chocolate comes through more than the coffee.
I don't smell coffee. Maybe it's because I don't want to smell coffee.
Right, I know. I'm denying that there's coffee.
Oh, there's vanilla. There's chocolate. Yeah. There's definitely oak.
Yeah, and a little bourbon-y.
It's not fir. Not an ounce of fir in this.
Very
that's
smooth.
Good. That's good.
Very smooth.
No, that's a solid.
I think the coffee, if coffee is there, it's a very subtle undertone. They definitely didn't over roast it for
like
more
a
coffee
mocha
flavor.
Because I get mostly chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah.
I'm sure the vanilla's hidden in there, but the chocolate is dominant. Yeah.
So even though they say coffee, if you're not like me, you're not, the coffee flavor profile is not for you or you. I guess we're going to have a coffee flavored stout expert on.
Ugh.
I know it's okay because it's like me and IPAs. You just got to keep tasting them. One of these days you might find one you like.
Dogfish Head makes a good IPA.
They do. I have had Dogfish Head IPA. But this is
worth the danger of milking a dragon. This is really good. Yeah, and I just got this at the store, so you can get this locally. Those of who you use like Tavor.
That's right. Put it up close to the camera because I don't think
or the other beer ordering places. I'm sure you could get it, but
yeah. So you've never had this before?
No, you gave this to. I mean, not this particular one because I bought it in the store, but like this is one of the ones you pulled out that you had been like aging for a while.
Oh, for you?
That was like, yeah. Well, I mean, I shared it. I mean, I don't think you did like, oh, Keith's here. I better give him some Dragon's Milk. No, it was like one of your get-togethers, and you're like, I walked in, you go like, hey, look at this. I'm like, okay, that looks good. So
My
She doesn't
husband
even.
says I'm losing my memory,
She
and
doesn't
this
even
is a
know. They're
classic.
like, "Isn't this good? I drink this again."
I had
She's
no
the reason
idea.
why I grabbed it at
I
the
have
store.
introduced this beer to Keith,
Yeah.
which is why we are friends drinking beer. Because you know what we could do? Let's say we do 100 episodes, and then on the 101st episode, we're like, "Hey, look at this beer! It's all new to us."
Yeah,
And it was the beer we drank at the first
that was
episode.
like your third episode. What's wrong with you?
Oh, so funny.
Oh, it's good though.
So funny. Yeah, it is really good. Okay, well, thank you for introducing me to a beer that I introduced you to.
I can reintroduce you. What do you think? Would you drink it again?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is really, it's,
And it's not
super,
overly
it's not super heavy.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not most people like, oh, it's so heavy and stuff like that.
No.
This one, first thing I notice is like the flavor
Mm-hmm.
and the smooth.
Yeah, and it's smooth all the way through. So being typical humans, we like to categorize and box everything. So I always say there's, the nose, the smell, first taste, the front, the middle, and then the back end. And some beers smell lovely. I'm so sorry that I don't know the name of it. I drank a French farmhouse cider that the nose was full on blue cheese in your face.
Which would make people off-putting.
Right, because it had that funk. It was blue cheese. It was super strong blue cheese. But then you tasted it and you were in a sunny orchard eating a crisp, warm apple fresh off the tree. So it smelled vastly different from what it tasted. And then, so that's nose and the front taste. And then the middle, you just want to kind of carry those flavors forward. You just want to savor them. And then the end, okay, it produced. Some beers, to me, they fall off in the middle and the end,
and especially at the end, you're like, it started good.
Yeah, it started good, and it's not. There's literally, this is all perception because we need to box and categorize everything. But then there are some beers that come back at the end, and that could be good or bad depending on how you're experiencing the beer. So this one
smells good.
It smells good. It's not overpowering.
It's dark.
It's not super heavy, but it smells. The nose and the taste coincide, and then it just goes straight across.
And it tastes good.
It doesn't fall off. It doesn't dip. It doesn't roller coaster.
You think it tastes good?
Yeah, it's great.
And it goes down easy.
This is lovely. I would strongly recommend.
Does it go down easy?
That's the thing that we've been trying to like. What do we do? I don't want to pan any beer ever, because I don't. There's a positive, as one of my friends said. Back to the movie Dune, the Kyle MacLachlan Sting one. One of my friends, her brother, says, if you can find one scene, one line, one feeling that you had in the movie, it's a good movie. So let's say it's a 90-minute movie and 89 minutes of it sucked ass, but 1 minute you enjoyed, it's a good movie. So that's what I'm trying to bring to this as well. We may drink some really bad beers, and we may not finish a beer. So far, we've finished all of our beers.
Chosen well, though.
We have chosen well, but sometimes we are going to bring a beer that neither one of us have tasted. And what do we do if neither of us like it?
We're going to be honest.
We're going to be honest with compassion. How's that? Right? Because I'm not going to say, oh my God, this brewer is a piece of shit.
Beer.
This is
There's
terrible.
some effort in this.
Yeah, people worked and it passed muster. And you always wonder, how did this bad movie get made? There's a lot of thought as to why, whether it's all in the editing and this, the story got rewritten 15 times, whatever the reason, people worked. People believed.
You can appreciate the effort.
Tried. Yes. So I am never going to pan a beer and be mean. Because number one, we never have to be mean, right? We don't have to be mean. You don't have to be mean,
but you can be nice and still offend people.
Right. And yes, that is true. But I can also
We're never going to bash.
This beer is not for me. This is
right.
This is what I'm experiencing, and it's not an experience I want to relive.
Right.
So, okay.
Like somebody somebody somewhere likes this beer who like
Yes.
probably licks
Because
ashtrays.
the beer,
so it's probably good for them.
Oh my God, that it's bad Chardonnay wines. It tastes like ashtrays. So anyway,
yeah, you better go first when we do that one, because like why is Keith making smart ass comments? Well, I'm like, but you appreciate the effort.
Yes. So please know that if we ever don't like something, it's not that we're not dissing the people and the work that went into making it.
Right.
It's just not for us. And that can be said with compassion, can be said with love. It's my theory. My dad was a lifelong Green Bay Packer fan, and he talked shit about the Lions his entire life.
Because you're supposed to. If you're a Packers fan, you're supposed to hate the Lions and the Bears.
No.
He hated them. He hated them.
And we had, Dad and I had some very in-depth conversations later in his life about how my belief is that you can root for your team.
Just not against your team, just not against another team.
You never have to say a bad thing about the other team or about the fans of the other team.
Such as the Cowboys. For example, random.
Seriously, people, that is, because we've heard stories about people getting killed at stadiums, about fights breaking. This is no. This is, quote, a game. This is a communal event. Let's be respectful. And we have it within us to do it. We just have to demonstrate it constantly. And that was my issue with my dad, because he would say shit about the Bears and the Browns. And I was like, nope.
Just cheer for the Packers.
Cheers for the Packers. Because there are people that are diehard Lions fans. They are diehard Browns fans. They are diehard Cowboy fans. And all they want is for their team to succeed. And we wish them the best. While our team may succeed more often than theirs, but let's not rub anyone's nose in it. No. So I will never.
Do you have Packers gear?
Yes, I do. I wore my ugly Packers sweater.
Well, you need to wear it this weekend. They're playing the 49ers.
I know. Oh, and my cousin lives in Austin, Texas. He also is a diehard, born into the family. Our extended family have so many Green Bay Packer season passes and tickets. So,
which is not easy to get.
No, they're handed down through the family.
They're owned by the town,
by the
city,
by the people. Right, they're owned by the people. So yes, so the tickets passed down through the family. Some of our grandparents own those tickets, and they got in the will, down
generational season tickets. Imagine
generational season tickets. He now lives in Austin, Texas. He went to a bar in my father's 75th birthday Packer jersey. So it had my dad's name on the back, had the number 75 on the front and the back. And he inherited that from my dad when my dad died. And he went to a bar in Austin and is the only Packers fan. So there's a sea of blue, silver, and white. And then there's just one green, yellow, and white dude standing there. And he had a lovely time. People were buying Browns because it's fine. It's okay. You can be a fan of whatever you want to be a fan of.
Just so and
as long as everybody else around you respects it. My dad sat next to Lions fans at a Green Bay Packer game. So same thing. Here are Lions fans in Wisconsin, in the stadium, right? They're, oh my gosh. But Dad was super nice and said, yeah, everyone's welcome. I was like, oh, thank you. I changed my dad's mind.
Everybody shares a love of the game.
The game, yes. So, my husband was a Warriors fan for 20 years before they were good.
That's a true fan.
You don't know how many years he went through of just, he just stuck with them. And
that's why I give kudos
to
to like Lions fans or Cleveland Brown fans. Like those are fans, because the franchise has been horrible for years. Some of them have never even been to a Super Bowl, let alone won a Super Bowl. Yeah, so they're not fair weather fans. Like, oh, they're good, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. You see how quickly everybody jumped off the bandwagon for Patriots? You don't see Patriots stuff around now. Like, oh, they're crappy now. I never liked them. Oh, I thought you were there and I'm a fan. Like, yeah.
No, they were.
Yeah, you had to update it with Kansas City Chiefs now, right?
They were what's his name's fans.
Tom Brady fans.
Tom Brady, thank you. Sorry. Right. I'm not good with.
And they had to switch their gear to Tampa Bay. That's what they get.
Yeah. Well, once again, we wish every fan the best, and we hope that your team wins. Always, 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 always. So back to beer. Yeah, I doubt seriously if we'll pan that many beers, but when
We've
we
been
do it,
lucky. They're
we'll be
good beers.
gentle and we'll try to do it with as much compassion and love as possible because we understand how hard it is to make beer and to put your efforts out there and be, it's, you have to be tough, man.
And we care about people's feelings.
We do. You don't. I
do.
do. No,
I
you
do.
don't. You're mean.
I know.
You don't care about
I'm,
my feelings half the time.
I'm honest. Doesn't the world need more honest people?
No. What the world needs, yes, the world needs honesty, but the world needs less meanness. People say, "Oh, I'm speaking my truth." Okay, you absolutely
don't attack
can.
anybody, though.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you and you alone know your story, know your position in your world. You don't know what anybody else is going through or doing or having to, endure again. But you just have to, you can always think of not everybody, but as many people as possible when saying, this could be better. I did not like it.
Here's why. We're going to give specifics too. Like, we're not going to say like, oh, it was overly hoppy. That's so cheesy. We're just like, no, this is bitter and this is like choking down,
I will tell you,
cactus
this tasted great when it was
dying
cold,
of thirst,
but it doesn't taste great when it's warm.
then iguana
Things
pooped
like
on.
that.
God.
Oh
But somebody
bring
somewhere likes this flavor, whose palate died last decade, but they enjoy it. Apparently, it's cheap enough for them, so it's in their fridge. So kudos to them.
Okay, I'm gonna tell this story. I was not raised in a wine drinking arena. My parents were never wine drinkers, and so consequently, it was never passed down to me to drink wine. I worked with a lady who was,
it's a lady
in the 70s and the early 80s. She was a wine connoisseur. She knew a lot about wine, having lived in Europe for many years and this and that. Her name was Michelle. So, and at one point, her artwork hung in the White House. So,
really,
yeah, she became quite adept at this very kind of pencil and ink type of portraiture, and her portraiture focused on Native peoples back in the 80s. So so for a couple of years, some of her artwork hung in the White House. Anyway, so Michelle's claim to fame. Yeah, she knew her shit. So she and her husband did something, and their neighbors helped them. So whatever it was that Michelle and her husband did, they gifted their neighbors a bottle of wine as a thank you. I think they were actually moving because then they didn't see the neighbors for a while. So they then had an occasion a couple of months later to visit with the neighbors. And the neighbors brought out that bottle of wine. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Michelle, knowing a lot about wine back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Did they forget?
Worse.
Okay.
So Michelle and her husband are visiting with the neighbors. The neighbors bring out the bottle of wine. They had opened that wine and taken a sip like it was an aperitif or liqueur, and then they corked it back. And they had been taking sips of this wine every once in a while for the last couple of months. So they then bring this bottle of wine out to Michelle and her husband and pour it into liqueur glasses. And Michelle doesn't know what to do. This wine
it's garbage.
Bad.
It's hot garbage at this point.
It was opened months ago. This wine is so horrible and so terrible because it's bad wine. Once you open it and it interacts with the air, you need to drink it, right? So
we put a wine stopper in the Zima and put it in the garage and forgot about it. I think this is a good time to bring it out.
So there's Michelle sitting there.
She has to look them in the eye.
She has to look them in the eye and educate them about wine and explain to them why they shouldn't be drinking this because this is bad wine.
Right.
This is so bad. So
why would you try to kill us?
She told me that story when I was, I don't know, 15 or 16 years old. And I still remember that because
and you want to picture this as like, oh, well, thanks for visiting. Like, try this. And they're sitting there looking at like, why do you hate us?
She thought they were going to bring out the bottle of wine and open it for the first time. No, they had to open it months earlier.
It's August. We cracked this in January.
It's beyond vinegar. It's beyond, it's bad. Which goes a lot to say that if you're not raised in a tradition and you don't understand or know some of the ins and outs,
then learn.
You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And the other thing that, going along with people being mean is also people are terrified to be wrong.
Right.
And to ask the dumb question or to ask the question that makes it very noticeable to everybody else that you don't know, because we have this we have to know everything.
And it has to be right.
You don't have to know everything. Right. And you don't have to be right 100% of the time. So, ask the dumb question. Ask, hey, can I pour this beer into whatever glass I want? The answer is always going to be yes. I pour my beer into plastic glasses when I go outside.
So
they're very nice plastic glasses that I do put in the dishwasher, and they're beautiful and they're etched and they're gorgeous, but they're plastic because I'm going outside. I don't want to break my stemware.
Who else just heard the Red Solo Cup song in their head? Just be honest, Rachel.
I also own Red Solo cups and have drank beautiful, beautiful, very expensive beer out of a Red Solo cup. It's fine.
They put quality tequila in a Red Solo cup.
Mm-hmm.
No complaints because it was really good.
Because it's fine if you have. I mean, we've gone through 6 glasses now. We're pouring our beer, but if you pour a different beer into a used glass, I'm not going to say anything. It's fine. Who cares? Oh, and that goes back to our original question that we were talking about off camera about cleaning the glasses.
Oh yeah.
So
the little spritzer thing
at bars
for cleaning glasses.
I don't know why.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Cleans it better, cleans it more.
Why is
just
it for
faster?
show?
It's a protocol at the
because they wash
pub
them
or the bar.
Yeah,
if it's already getting washed anyway.
And then some of them have a little plastic,
so is it for frosting?
Like a ketchup dispenser, but it's clear, and then they pour it on the outside. Is that what's in there? What are they cleaning the outside of the glass? Are they cleaning the foam off that? Or I don't know. So we're gonna actually one of these days we really should have a bartender on.
Well, we can have a bartender. We can have a brewer. We can have we have people on.
Yeah, there's lots of people. So we are planning to have guests, just so you know. And our first guest is the friend that I was just talking about earlier, who we invited over for dinner. He not only is a fan of Pilsners, he's a big fan of sweet beer, which I am also a major fan of sweet beer. So that's what we were going to do today. We were going to have him on. We were going to have a line of sweet beers and the things you could do to enjoy sweet beers.
I think this might have been the sweetest.
Yeah,
I mean, this is sweeter even than the pumpkin one.
Yeah.
But the Pilsner, I mean, it's a Pilsner. It's not sweet.
Not supposed to be sweet. It's supposed to be a little tart, a little citrusy. So, yeah.
Like some people.
Anyway, we've been on for over an hour now. I know, it's an hour and 7 minutes.
And we're not serious editing.
No, we don't edit. We edit the beginning and the end when we look like doofuses trying to turn the camera on and off. But I think what we're going to do is end this one because we're at an hour 8. And we're going to finish our beer.
Do we want to do are we ever going to do like an Instagram, like Fringe Drinking Beer Instagram, or what do you?
We should, and we'll also try to put stuff up on TikTok and blah blah blah.
Because we want to hear from you.
Thank you to those who have subscribed to the YouTube channel. Yeah. We have the tiniest YouTube channel in the world. I think we have 6 subscribers.
What?
Yes. So anyway, thank you to the 6 subscribers.
Here's to getting to double digits.
Yeah, double digits. Hey, you can't monetize until we have over 300 subscribers. I doubt if we'll ever monetize. We're not going to ever make a dime on this. Who cares?
No, it's about for the fun and the beer and
the
friendship.
Yeah, so we're going to finish drinking this beer off camera because it's really good and we don't want to slam it. No, this is
you don't want to rush a good thing.
Beer to savor. So thank you very much for sticking with us through the end of our 3rd episode and our 4th episode. Hopefully we will have our guest on. I've been reticent to say his name, as you've noticed, and hopefully he will introduce himself, and you guys will fall in love with him, and he will make many appearances in the future. And yeah, let us know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to know about, any questions we can answer. We know nothing.
Or if you have the answer to the whole beer spritzer thing.
Yeah. We'll figure that out at some point in the future. And who's snobbier? I'd say today I was the snobbier one.
Your words, not mine.
Okay, well, thank you for watching Friends Drinking Beer. We're going to finish this off camera. And
cheers. Enjoy the playoffs this weekend.
Yes.
And your light and your heat and your power.
Yes.
Be thankful in hot showers.
And reach out to the people that don't have any of those things right now. And
if they need water, give them water.
Yeah. Oh my God. The sun is coming out. We're going to go run outside right now and stand in the sun. So anyway, I'm Lisa.
I'm Kieth.
Thank you for watching Friends
Drinking Beer.
Drinking Beer. Bye.
I didn't realize it went that way.